Back in 1996, while most businesses were still asking, "What's the internet?" Trivera's founder was walking into meetings at Milwaukee Mitchell International Airport, trying to convince them they needed a website before most travelers even knew what a browser was.
30 years later, we're still their digital partner.
And in an industry obsessed with chasing the next big thing, there's something pretty powerful about a partnership that's lasted since the days of dial-up.
Today, we dive into how one of Wisconsin's longest-running digital partnerships evolved from early airport web innovation into a modern strategy built around accessibility, security, and usability.
Keep your tray tables up and your expectations high. This one's ready for takeoff.
Welcome to Trivera's AI Deep Dive podcast, hosted by Chip and Nova, our AI co-hosts. Together, they transform top marketing insights from our blogs, articles, and events into actionable strategies you can use. Ready to dive in? Let's get started.
Welcome back to the Trivera Deep Dive podcast. I am your AI co-host, Chip.
And I am your AI co-host, Nova. Today, we are diving straight into a brand new case study from Team Trivera. It details our team's multi-decade partnership with our client, Milwaukee Mitchell International Airport.
Yeah, and the mission of our deep dive today, Nova, is to explore the actual mechanics of how a digital presence evolves over 25 plus years, like without ever missing a single beat.
Which is incredibly rare in this industry, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. We talk a lot about digital transformation, right?
Yeah.
But usually that implies a singular project that takes maybe 6 to 12 months.
Right, a one-and-done deal.
Exactly. But our team's experience here is entirely different. I mean, this is a transformation that spans multiple generations of the internet itself.
It really does, Chip. And to truly understand the magnitude of this, we have to look at the core challenge that Mitchell International Airport faced back in 1998.
Oh, man, 1998. The landscape of the web was incredibly primitive.
It was the Wild West. Most organizations were essentially treating the internet like a digital Yellow Pages. They just wanted, a static brochure with their phone number and their address.
Right. It was the era of dial-up modems, hit counters, and those animated under construction banners. Nobody was thinking about the web as an actual functional utility.
No, they really weren't. But our client recognized early on that a static website just wouldn't survive long term.
They saw the writing on the wall.
Exactly. They needed a robust, foundational digital presence to serve passengers, airlines, local stakeholders, and more importantly, they realized they needed a partner to actively evolve that presence.
Because the tech wasn't going to stay static.
Right. They anticipated that technology would shift rapidly. They knew strict accessibility requirements would eventually emerge, and that their marketing needs would become, vastly more dynamic.
So this meant consistent maintenance, airtight security oversight, and a really flexible platform.
Looking at how our team mapped this out in the case study, I was thinking about this. The approach perfectly mirrors the management of the physical airport terminal itself.
Oh, I love that analogy.
Yeah, because you don't just build an airport terminal, lock the doors, and declare the job finished forever.
Right.
Right. A physical terminal is a perpetual work in progress. It is always changing.
Precisely. You have to handle constantly changing foot traffic patterns.
And new security protocols.
Exactly. You have to adapt the physical space to new security threats. Like when TSA checkpoints were radically expanded in the early 2000s.
That took massive renovations.
Huge renovations. And you have to tear up floors and widen corridors to meet physical ADA accessibility standards. But the absolute hardest part of all of this is that you have to do this construction while the airport is actively operating.
You cannot shut down an international hub for a year to remodel.
The planes still have to take off. And the digital space operates under the exact same constraints. You were essentially upgrading the jet engines while the plane is cruising at 30,000 feet.
Treating a website like a living, breathing facility is exactly why our team's approach was structured as a timeline of continuous evolution, rather than, a series of isolated, massive redesigns.
Right, because if you treat a website like a single construction project,
you inevitably end up with a dilapidated, broken structure a few years later. Treating it like an active terminal allows you to systematically plan for growth.
So let's track that growth chronologically, because the specific milestones from our case study paint a really fascinating picture of digital aviation history.
Let's do it.
So in 1998, Team Trivera built Mitchell's very first website, which established their footprint. Then by 1999, we helped them launch their initial email marketing efforts.
Shifting them from passive information display to active communication.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then we hit 2001, where our team rolled out a mobile-friendly site for the airport.
Which was a massive milestone.
I actually need to pause on this, Nova, because launching a mobile-friendly site in 2001 sounds almost impossible given the hardware of the time.
It was definitely a challenge.
I mean, the smartphone boom was years away, right? The iPhone didn't even launch until 2007. In 2001, most people were carrying primitive candy bar phones and playing Snake on tiny monochrome screens. So I really want to dig into the actual mechanics here.
Wait.
A mobile-friendly site in 2001. Why is that kind of extreme digital foresight so critical for an organization like an airport?
Well, mechanically, it required utilizing WebView or Wireless Application Protocol.
Okay.
It was this incredibly stripped-down, text-only version of the web. Designing for web meant stripping away all images, all complex layouts, and really distilling the website down to a few lines of hyperlink text.
Wow.
And you navigated it using the physical number pad on a cell phone.
So you press the number 2 to scroll down, press 5 to select arrivals. It sounds incredibly clunky.
Highly clunky by today's standards, yeah, but honestly revolutionary for 2001. As for the why, it comes down to understanding the core demographic of an airport.
The frequent flyers.
Exactly. Business travelers have always been the earliest adopters of mobile technology. They were the ones carrying early BlackBerries, Palm Pilots, and, those early web-enabled PDAs.
Oh yeah, the status symbols of the early 2000s.
Totally. By launching a mobile site that early, our client provided a highly specific functional utility. Think about checking a flight status from a taxi cab without having to call a landline.
That was huge back then.
It signaled to their most valuable travelers that the airport understood their immediate needs. It completely positioned the brand as an industry leader.
It establishes trust through utility, right?
Yeah.
You're anticipating the user's friction points before they even reach the terminal doors.
Precisely. And moving forward on the timeline, that same philosophy of functional utility really drove the next wave of developments. In 2003, our team integrated real-time flight data directly into the site.
Taking it from a marketing tool to a true operational hub.
Yes. And by 2008, we added comprehensive parking management tools.
Which eventually led to a major foundational shift. Our case study highlights a massive responsive redesign using what was, at the time, the modern version of the CMS Concrete 5.
Right.
For listeners who might not be deep into web architecture, a CMS or content management system is the software framework that allows you to build and manage a website without having to code every single page from scratch.
And implementing Concrete 5 made Mitchell one of the very first major airports to leverage that specific platform.
It was a big deal.
The mechanism of a modern CMS is what actually enables that upgrading the engine in flight analogy you mentioned earlier. It separates the back-end architecture and content database from the front-end design.
So what does that mean practically for the airport staff?
It meant the airport's internal staff could log in and instantly update a sudden gate change or a weather advisory without needing to call a web developer to hard-code the HTML.
Oh, I see. It democratizes the daily operations of the site.
Exactly. And during that specific rebuild, Team Trevera also embedded vital accessibility tools into the site's code. This began early efforts toward digital ADA compliance, which, honestly, was a very forward-thinking move before digital accessibility became the strict legal imperative it is today.
That is a perfect transition because that brings us to the present day. Technology and legal obligations accelerate, right? They don't slow down.
Never.
So our relationship with our client has expanded over the years into a really comprehensive ongoing support and optimization partnership for 2024, 2025, and beyond. We are heavily focused on keeping those engines running seamlessly.
And this ongoing commitment relies on a few key pillars. The first, and arguably one of the most critical for a public entity, is accessibility and ADA compliance.
Right.
Team Trevera conducts regular audits that align strictly with the W3C's standards, the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines.
Let's unpack the mechanics of ADA compliance for the web for a second, because it is far more complex than, just making the text bigger.
Oh, absolutely.
True digital ADA compliance requires structural engineering right at the code level. It ensures the site interacts perfectly with screen readers used by visually impaired travelers. The HTML must have the correct ARIA labels.
Which are essentially hidden tags that describe the function of a button to a screen reader, right?
Exactly. And it requires maintaining strict color contrast ratios so colorblind users can differentiate navigation elements. And you have to ensure the entire site can be navigated using only a keyboard without a mouse. For a public utility like an airport, an inaccessible website is quite literally a barrier to a public service.
And the friction there is that accessibility standards are constantly being updated.
Yes, they are.
A site that was fully compliant in 2020 might fail a WCAG 2.2 audit today because the legal and technical definitions of accessibility evolve. That is why the ongoing audits are absolutely mandatory.
Makes total sense.
The second major pillar of our team's current work is CMS and security maintenance. We perform continuous core system updates, plugin updates, and theme updates.
The security aspect here, well, it really cannot be overstated. Websites today are built using various plugins and third-party integrations to handle things like forms, maps, or real-time data feeds.
Right, and a plugin is essentially a piece of software written by an external developer.
Exactly. And if a vulnerability is discovered in that code, hackers write automated bots to just scour the internet looking for any website running the outdated version of that plugin.
It's terrifying.
It really is. If you aren't doing weekly or monthly maintenance to patch those vulnerabilities, you are leaving a backdoor wide open. So our team also enforces secure configuration practices, implementing strong authentication protocols and securing file permissions. It operates like a digital PSA, basically constantly scanning for and neutralizing threats before they breach the perimeter.
The third area of our ongoing partnership focuses on UI and UX reviews. These are continuous, data-driven refinements to the user interface and the overall user experience.
So we're not just guessing what works.
No, we analyze how travelers are actually interacting with the site. If the heat mapping data shows that mobile users are struggling to find the updated parking rates, or if they are abandoning the site on a specific page, we don't wait for a yearly review to address it.
You just go in and fix it.
Exactly. We refine the navigation and adjust the interface in real time to eliminate that friction.
And the fourth pillar ties directly into marketing agility. Our team collaborates closely with Mitchell's internal staff and their creative partners to build customized, campaign-specific landing pages.
Which is crucial for their promotions.
Yeah. It allows the airport to deploy highly timely communications for like seasonal promotions, new direct flight announcements, or specific parking deals, all without cluttering the main navigation of the site.
Now, Chip, a common objection arises when business leaders look at this ongoing model.
Oh, I know this is going.
They look at the ongoing ADA audits, the constant security patching, the weekly UI tweaks, and they assume this constant oversight must be a drain on resources.
Let me play devil's advocate here, Nova. From a business perspective, wouldn't it be easier financially to just let the website sit untouched, save that monthly retainer budget, and simply build a brand new website every 5 years?
I hear that all the time, but that is the exact trap of the burn it down and start over mentality. As part of our strategic advisory role, Team Trevera spends a lot of time educating clients on why that approach is financially and operationally disastrous.
Because it destroys everything you've built.
Exactly. Rebuilding a site from scratch every 5 years destroys two incredibly valuable assets, your SEO equity and your established user habits. Let's explore the SEO damage first.
Right.
Search engines rank your site based on historical authority, backlink profiles, and domain structure. When you bulldoze a website and launch completely new architecture, you inevitably break old URLs, lose index pages, and totally confuse search crawlers.
You essentially throw away 5 years of accumulated digital storage.
Yes, and you have to spend the next year clawing your way back to page 1 of the search results.
And the damage to user habits is even worse, honestly. Going back to the physical terminal analogy, imagine you fly out of an airport every single month. You know exactly where the security checkpoint is, you know where your favorite coffee shop is, and you know the quickest path to your gate.
You have a routine.
Exactly. Now imagine you show up one Tuesday, and the airport has completely bulldozed the terminal and rebuilt it from scratch.
Oh, no.
The coffee shop is gone, security is in the basement, and the gates are totally renumbered. You would be furious.
The cognitive load on the user would be immense.
Right. When you do a massive, unannounced website redesign every 5 years, you inflict that exact same frustration on your users. If a traveler is accustomed to clicking the top right corner to check flight status, and suddenly you hide that feature behind a sleek new hamburger menu on the left side of the screen, you haven't innovated. You have just caused someone to miss a flight.
Such a great point. Ongoing, prudent optimization prevents this. You make small, incremental improvements over time so the user naturally adapts, rather than shocking their system every half-decade.
The compound cost of a massive disruptive rebuild, both in lost revenue from broken SEO and the actual capital expenditure of the project, it always eclipses the cost of routine, proactive maintenance.
Continuous optimization keeps the site secure and aligned with user needs without the systemic shock of a complete teardown.
The difference between a reactive digital strategy and a proactive digital strategy is staggering when you look at the real-world impact. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, we are going to look at the concrete results of this strategy and what it can mean for you.
Stick around, we will be right back. Wow, Chip, we're already into Q2. How did that happen?
Right, Nova. And if Q1 taught us anything, it's that things aren't slowing down. AI, search shifts, content demands, analytics, it's a lot to keep up with.
That's exactly why companies trust Trivera. We don't just react to change, we help our clients stay ahead of it. Strong fundamentals, smart strategy, and the right tech, all working together to drive measurable growth, not just activity.
In a world full of noise, it's not about chasing traffic anymore. What matters is results you can see, track, and build on quarter after quarter. It's about building a digital presence that actually performs.
So if Q1 didn't deliver what you expected,
Q2 is your chance to reset and get it right. Visit Trivera.com and start building a strategy that drives real results.
Trivera, 30 years of digital marketing that moves the needle.
Welcome back to Trivera's AI Deep Dive. Now back to our conversation with Chip and Nova.
Welcome back to the Trivera Deep Dive podcast. Before the break, we analyzed Team Trivera's strategy of continuous evolution and security maintenance for Mitchell International Airport. Let's look at the actual outcomes of this case study.
Let's do it.
Because of our team's long-term partnership, Mitchell's digital presence remains fully up-to-date, structurally secure, and comprehensively accessible. And that drastically mitigates legal and operational risk across the board.
What truly stands out in the results is the high degree of marketing agility this approach provides. By focusing on continuous UI and UX improvements and by maintaining a flexible CMS architecture, the airport can engage their visitors dynamically without structural bottlenecks.
For example, if Mitchell's internal marketing team wants to launch a new initiative, say, promoting a new set of direct flights to Florida for the winter season, they do not have to commission a massive, disruptive web project.
Right. They don't have to build a completely separate, disconnected microsite that dilutes their main domain authority.
The foundational website is agile enough to absorb those new campaigns seamlessly. They spin up custom landing pages that integrate perfectly with their core branding and navigation.
Our client successfully balances rapid marketing innovation with strict legal ADA compliance, everyday passenger usability, and rigid back-end security. Maintaining that equilibrium is really what allows them to operate as a genuinely digital-forward transportation hub.
And achieving that kind of balance over decades is notoriously difficult in the digital space. And we don't have to look very far to see why this partnership has lasted so long. Beyond the strategy, design, and ongoing optimization, Team Trivera has also been responsible for hosting and maintaining Mitchell's mission-critical website infrastructure for decades.
And that kind of trust is not handed out casually, especially for a major transportation hub operating around the clock.
Exactly. The same system administration and security expertise we talked about earlier has been working behind the scenes 24/7, 365 to keep the airport's website stable, secure, and operational, even during enormous traffic surges.
Including moments of genuine public urgency.
Right. During major events like 9/11. And even the infamous Good Friday snowstorm in 2008, when more than 15 inches of wet March snow slammed the region and drove over 11 million hits to the airport website over 36 hours. The infrastructure had to hold under extraordinary pressure.
And honestly, that level of operational continuity really reinforces the larger lesson from this entire case study. Organizations do not survive decades of technological change with one-time projects or disconnected vendors. They survive by building trusted long-term partnerships backed by consistent technical expertise. Being viewed as a trusted extension of our team is really the ultimate validation of this model. It proves that to survive technological shifts, an organization doesn't need a vendor to just sell them a product. They need an integrated partner to navigate the ecosystem.
Now, as we wrap up our analysis of this case study, we always want to bring these insights back to the listener's daily reality. Nova, what does this specific operational model mean for the people tuning in today?
Well, here's what this means for you, regardless of your industry. You may not be managing the digital infrastructure for an international airport. You might be running the marketing for a regional law firm, a specialized manufacturing company, or an e-commerce brand.
Right, the scale might be different.
Exactly. The scale is different, but the fundamental law of the internet remains the same. Static systems decay. You must adopt the model of prudent evolution.
And evolving prudently means abandoning the concept of a website as a project with a final delivery date.
Exactly. Your digital presence is an active revenue-generating asset. When you partner with a team that provides ongoing strategic advisory, continuous security patching, and regular accessibility audits, you insulate your business from technological whiplash.
Your website never becomes obsolete.
And more importantly, it never turns into a glaring security liability. When you embrace continuous, incremental optimization, you are never caught off guard by the next major algorithm update or accessibility law because you are already adapting to the landscape in real time.
If you are listening to this deep dive and realizing that your own digital presence is currently decaying, or, if you are exhausted by the cycle of bulldozing your website every few years just to catch up with your competitors, it is time to break that cycle. You can put Team Trevera's exact expertise to use for your own digital marketing and your daily operations.
Absolutely. And if you found our team's insights helpful today, the link to read the full case study on our work with Mitchell International Airport is available right now in the show notes.
And remember, the Trevera Deep Dive podcast is available on iHeart, Spotify, Apple, and all major platforms. Make sure to download this deep dive, subscribe to the feed, and share this with your colleagues who might be struggling with their own digital strategy. Thank you so much for spending your time with us today.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks for joining us on Trevera's AI Deep Dive with Chip and Nova. If you enjoyed this episode, you can find more and stay up to date with new episodes wherever you listen to podcasts, or find them on our website and our social media channels. And don't forget to visit us at Trevera.com to learn how we can help take your marketing to the next level. Ready to talk? Reach out. We'd love to hear from you. See you next time.